One of the first things that I acknowledge when I'm teaching a foundational training is that being a yoga teacher is not for the faint of heart. It's kind of scary. There are so many upsides to it, obviously, but everybody, one of the biggest challenges of being a yoga teacher, especially if you're a newer yoga teacher, is that you have to believe in what you say. You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your knowledge base. And the reality is, you don't always feel that way because inside, there's a little bit of a gap between your expertise and what you need to portray when you are teaching a class. Now, do not get me wrong. I am not in any way saying that yoga teachers should teach beyond the scope of their knowledge. I'm not. But the truth is that when you are teaching class, you, like I said, you have to portray a certain confidence within yourself. And sometimes that confidence is not completely real. Sometimes that confidence is made up. So often I work with teachers, especially at an advanced level, that have been dealing with imposter syndrome forever. And it's not because they're not good teachers. It's not because they don't care. It's not because they don't know what they're doing. It's because they know deep down that to teach a class and feel good in that class, you have to believe you're an expert. And yet, when you reflect on yourself, you know that there's gaps in your education. You know that there's gaps in your experience. This doesn't just come up for people when they're new teachers, okay? I will tell you what, I was terrified. I had no confidence when I was a new teacher. But you know when else I didn't have any confidence? I didn't have any confidence when Yoga Journal magazine in their heyday asked me to be their staff teacher. Now I could reflect on that and say, oh, that built a lot of confidence. Are you kidding me? That did not build my confidence. That terrified me because I knew that there was a gap between my experience level and what I thought I needed for that job. Another time I was terrified and I felt like I had no confidence was when I started teaching workshops, when I started teaching conferences, when I started teaching retreats and trainings. And I am telling you, as someone that works with a lot of really good teachers, their lack of inner confidence holds them back from teaching those other opportunities, from developing workshops, from developing a series, from developing a training, from rolling the dice and saying, you know what, I'm gonna do my first retreat. The reality is there are just huge gaps in every 200-hour yoga teacher training course. And that's not because the course isn't good. That's not because the course is failing you. It's because the duration, scope, and scale of being a yoga teacher, especially a yoga teacher that wants to do this full time, or a yoga teacher that wants to teach workshops, series, and retreats, or at least have those options, we need an education that provides us with the backbone to do those things. Now, everybody, before you think at all that I'm bagging on 200-hour trainings, let me tell you two things. Number one, which I've already said, I teach a 200-hour training and I think it's really, really good. I 100% believe that I set people up to teach good foundational yoga classes. But for any of the people graduating from my 200-hour training, if they want to be a full-time yoga teacher for decades to come, if they want to teach workshops, if they want to teach trainings, if they want to do retreats, series, if they want to work with professionals or professional athletes, they're going to need more education. They're going to need additional level of specialization. Second thing I want to tell you is I taught yoga for 3 years before I did any teacher training. So I'm not in any way undermining, throwing shade at 200 hours or 200-hour foundations. But what I want to really sit back and say, listen, if you're struggling with a feeling of confidence, if you know that there's a gap between the teacher that you need to evoke when you're teaching and deep down the teacher that knows that there's some expertise gaps, then let's just break this down and let's look at really these 5 skills that we can work on. The first skill is clarity of communication. Being able to say exactly what you want to say, how you want to say it clearly and concisely is a skill. It's not just magic, it's a skill. One of the biggest challenges in my experience of many 200-hour trainings is that people are taught cues and people are taught scripts. But when you memorize a cue or you memorize a script, it's kind of like letting GPS take you to your destination instead of knowing where you are on the map. Now, don't get me wrong, I use GPS all the time, but navigation is not my job, right? If navigation was my job, I better know where I am on the map. So what I mean to say in this, everybody, is when we're memorizing a script or memorizing a cue, those are okay things. I'm not bagging on that. Those are short-term expedients to get the job done. But using the same GPS analogy, if you don't really know where you are on the map, you know that you're just following along with a memorized or a rote bit of information, and you don't really know the essence of the geography or the terrain you're in, you know there's a skill gap. You know it's not really you, right? You know it's not really you giving the cue. You know it's not really having a conversation. Imagine this, everybody. Forget the GPS thing. Imagine you're on a date, or imagine you're just talking with a friend and you're reciting a script, or you're reciting memorized cues. That might be fine to some degree to break the ice, right? There might be a phase in your teaching where memorized scripts or memorized cues is totally fine. And in the long run, it's never gonna help you feel confident because you're gonna know that you know the script, not that you actually know the essence of what you're communicating. And as a yoga teacher, when you're giving cues, it's really just an articulation of what you feel. It's an articulation of what you know. It's more live, it's more fresh. It's kind of like if you're a good experienced chef, maybe you use a recipe once in a while, but you don't need one because you understand ingredients. You understand timing, you understand technique. And so you don't have to just go from a memorized recipe, you can go from what's live and fresh in the room. And when you're a yoga teacher that is able to matriculate beyond script, beyond memorization to, I know this in my body, I can see it in your body, it's an entirely different dynamic. It's a real, fresh conversation. And to be honest with you, it never gets old. That script is gonna get old, right? That memorized rote script is gonna get really old. So what we wanna be able to do as a yoga teacher is have a conversation. Everybody, when I teach you Warrior 2, triangle, side angle, yes, there are some memorized kind of like scripted parts in my brain, but mostly what I do is I describe to you what I feel in my body and what I want you to feel in your body. It's live, it's fresh, it's interactive. There isn't that third party of that memorized script anymore. It's dynamic. So it doesn't, for me, feel like it gets old. It stays fresh. When you're able to cue like it's a live event and you're seeing people and you're giving cues, at least in part based on the information that you're seeing and you're understanding and feeling, you build a different presence. You really do. We'll talk about this in another attribute later, but what happens is you believe in yourself and you become you. You start to figure out not just clear communication, but you start to figure out the phrasing that makes sense to you. Some of your personality gets to come out because you understand the importance of clear communication and you understand that communication comes from actual understanding. It doesn't come from rote memorization. The second essential skill that's gonna build you much more confidence is curriculum design and thematic progression. Let me put it in the simplest way possible. I want every yoga teacher to begin thinking about more than just this one class that you're teaching right now. Everybody, as a yoga teacher, yes, of course, we need to feel like the individual class that we teach on any given day is comprehensive, is complete, is skillfully executed, and is there to teach and support our students. I don't in any way want to overlook that. But I really think that that's just the beginning of us as being an educator. And I want to pull back the scope, and I want you to imagine that I was your teacher of a completely different subject matter. I was your teacher in mathematics. Okay, by the way, I would be a really bad mathematics teacher. I still don't know how to multiply fractions. So anyways, but bear with me on this. I need to think beyond just a 60-minute interval. If I want to teach you mathematics, I can't just think in 60-minute intervals. I have to start to think about a week, a month, a semester, okay? Now, I know as well as anyone knows, yoga classes are almost always drop-ins. However, I also know that if I want to teach the complex, beautiful discipline that is yoga and the yoga tradition, I can't just do that in 60-minute intervals. I have to start to think in a longer horizon. I have to think in a longer time frame. So in all of my trainings, especially 300-hour training, what I want people to start to do is to think a little bit like, I'll just say it, a season of television, where each individual episode is complete, has a beginning, has a middle, has an end. But multiple episodes in a row carry longer arcs. They carry longer themes. For me as a yoga teacher, if I want to teach you yoga, I can't do it in 60 minutes. I can't do it in 120 minutes. I can't do it in 180 minutes. If I keep on the same string, you're going to see that my mathematics are not very good, so I'm not going to embarrass myself live. My point on this is, when we start to think beyond a single class, we start to think about ourselves differently. We start to think about ourselves as educators. But let's look at a really simple way that we could do this, everybody. Let's say we have a month on core. Each individual class should be good, comprehensive, and complete. But there are so many simple ways to, instead of this week or today teaching a core strength class, to scale that into a month-long focus. Week 1, maybe I can focus on anterior core strength. And so we do a little bit more on anterior abdominals. We can work with stabilization, and we can also work with spinal flexion. Maybe we do boat pose variations. Maybe we do certain arm balances like Bakasana. We're still gonna have a comprehensive balanced class, but we're saying this is a dish within this class that we're gonna focus on a little bit more. Week 2, maybe we start to focus on rotational core, right? Our core does many things. It doesn't just flex or stabilize. Our core also rotates. So week 2, we can emphasize, bring a little bit more refinement and character to rotational core strengthening. We can do various functional twists. We might even do some twisting arm balances. There are countless things we can do. Week 3, we can say, hey, guess what? Your core is a full circumference. Your abdominals are part of your core, but they are not the totality of your core. Your paraspinal muscles, your primary back muscles, are also part of your core. They're just the back side. The core is the full circumference of your center, and you're three-dimensional. So you got a front, you got sides, but you also have a back side. So week 3, maybe the core strengthening focus is back strength. Now, that's not all we're doing. We're still gonna do our salutations. We're still gonna do our standing poses. We're still gonna do our arm balances. We're still gonna do our back bends. We're still gonna do our forward bends, whatever it is. But we just call out a little bit more emphasis of those back body muscles. And then week 4, we do them all. We do kind of a greatest hits. So everybody, when we start to think like this, we start to know something that is so important and is going to give you so much confidence, which is you have a plan. You've thought about it. You're prepared. You see a little bit more of the big picture. So instead of just thinking, all right, I need to teach this class, you think this class is going to be comprehensive and good, but I'm also going to see it as a bigger piece. And that bigger piece, I'm telling you right now, is where your students are going to make much more progress. And I don't want to be too reductionist, but I'll just tell you, in terms of student retention, the most valuable thing that you can possibly do is help them make progress. And the best way that you can help your students make progress is not being random. Like again, if I want you to make progress in your understanding of history or mathematics or the trombone, I'm picking all sorts of things I don't know about, right? But I can't teach a bunch of random classes. I can't teach you those things randomly and just pick apart with no continuity and no through line. We have to actually build, we have to progress, we have to, as teachers, connect some of the dots. And everybody, at first, to you, this might sound relieving or overwhelming. But I am telling you, when you understand how to do this, and if you will give me the opportunity in a 300-hour training to help you learn how to do this, not only does it build more confidence, not only does it help with student retention because they learn and grow, but you aren't gonna get bored or burn out as quick as a teacher because you're not always gonna be spinning your wheels. You're gonna see a bigger plots that you can facilitate with your students, and you're gonna get to see them grow. And not only is it incredibly rewarding for your students to make progress, it's really nice as a yoga teacher to help your students develop, and your students are gonna develop over a longer span of time than one class at a time. Our third skill is empathy and relational skills. Everybody, you're a yoga teacher, but you're teaching humans. And more often than not, you're teaching humans in a group environment. So you know what you really have to know? You know what you really have to study? It's not just yoga, it's the human condition. It's relationships. It's understanding a little bit about group dynamics and psychology. And the importance, I'll just be straight with you, the importance of just being a really nice person. Just being a really kind, supportive, open person. I will tell you this, okay? I'm gonna really cut to it. Your students, in the long run, aren't gonna remember many of the things you told them, but they're gonna remember how your classes made them feel. They're going to remember how you made them feel. They're going to remember the community and the culture of the yoga room that you were in. They're not going to remember what you told them to do with their hand in Bakasana. I mean, maybe they will. They're not going to remember, some, as a yoga teacher, sometimes we get a little adrenaline and we have a moment of extra. Well, right now we're talking about low confidence, but sometimes we have a weird moment of extra confidence and we think we're waxing poetic and saying the most amazing thing that's ever been said. Your students, they're never going to remember that. But they're going to remember that you said hi to them. They're going to remember that you were there on a day that they were struggling. They're going to remember that they were in a really bad mood, but they took your class and they felt better, okay? And so to me, understanding this, understanding that as a yoga teacher, you shouldn't really lead with do this, do that. Being a yoga teacher, you shouldn't really lead with some rote memorized commands. Being a yoga teacher, you should lead with, hey everybody, thanks for coming to class. I really appreciate you're here. Okay, so we're gonna focus on X, Y, or Z. It's gonna be a nice class. As always, if anything doesn't feel right to you, just set it aside. And if you have questions, come up to me after class. Okay, let's go. And I feel like in 200-hour trainings, this is never addressed. And again, not because the 200-hour training is bad, it's because there just isn't time. We have so many, when I'm teaching a 200-hour training, there's so many details, but it's not about the details. Your students are not going to come to your class day in and day out for just the details, okay? They're going to come because they like the experience and they feel comfortable in your space. Our fourth skill is embodiment and authenticity. And honestly, it really picks up and feeds from that last skill. It is a fine line, and I do want to acknowledge this. We need to be professional. But as a student, if I don't see some of you, if I don't see some of your personality, if I don't see some of your humanness, I'm probably not going to engage that much with what you have to teach me. You might have plenty of technique and be like, oh yeah, that's interesting. But as a student, and I'll acknowledge everyone's different, but as a student, I want to feel the person there, right? Like I want to feel the person there. I'm probably the same when it comes to politics and art and whatever it is. Like I think that I want to see the humanness. I want to see the personality, because to me, that's what I connect with, and is what feels real. As a yoga teacher, you're teaching a subject matter, you're dealing with humans, and yet at the same time, you're coloring the nuances of the yoga teachings like through your personality. And no, your classes shouldn't be all about you. But if I don't see you, I'm probably not going to come back tomorrow, because I can probably Google the same information that you can tell me. So why wouldn't I just Google it if I'm not going to actually see you, right? And this plays out in a lot of different ways, and I don't want to be too heavy-handed with this, but I just truly believe that yoga students aren't just looking for information, they're looking for connection. I think as humans, we really seek connection now more than ever. Now more than ever. Because you could have Googled all of this information, 5 ways to make myself more confident, and maybe you did. But the reality is, me communicating it to you from my humanness is going to be more impactful than you just reading it if you resonate with my humanness. And if you don't, then you'll find another teacher that does. So my point on this, everybody, is it is only through confidence that you can be embodied and authentic. And by being embodied and authentic and owning it, you will be more confident. Okay? A couple more things just about this topic. One of the things that I think is the best practice, and I'll just this is where I'm going to sound ridiculous maybe. So there are some times when I'm teaching class where I get jealous of my students that they get to be doing this right now. That's in part not because I think, oh my God, I'm brilliant. It's because, oh my God, that feels so good. I know how much I like that version of half moon pose. I know how much I like that version of pigeon pose. I know how good it feels to lengthen my breath. I teach the class, and I want to help you teach the class that you wish you were taking right now. Because everybody has different preferences. And you can't possibly teach the class that everyone has the perfect preference for. But you can teach the class you want to teach. You can teach the class that you wish you were taking right now. So when you stay connected to your practice, when you let a little bit of your personality open up, when you kind of let these teachings come through you, and when you believe in yourself and you believe that the things you love about the yoga practice are legit to center and focus on teaching others, there's just this incredible confidence that comes through. There's one more layer to this, everybody, which is the confidence that comes with knowing that your embodied authentic self is not for everybody. I know I'm not for everybody. I know I can't be for everybody. But I know that I'm really good at what I do. And I also know that what I do and how I do it and how I am is just not going to fit everyone's needs or preferences. Do you know how much relief there is that comes from feeling that way? And do I want every student to love me? Yeah. But do I have the confidence of knowing that that can't be true? So I will be true to myself. And the students that resonate with that will stay. And the students that don't will find another teacher. That feels amazing. And knowing that you can only be you and being you and owning it is an incredible, incredible gift to others. And it's a relief, and it helps people trust you, and it helps people that don't resonate with you find someone else that they do resonate with. Our final skill is developing confidence through experience and preparation. I'm going to tell you this. I'm 100% prepared for every single class I ever teach. I did not used to be that way, but now I am. Now, when I say that I am prepared for every class that I teach, here's what I can tell you. I know that in every single class that I teach, number one, I want you to feel better after class than before the class. That might sound obvious, but that is literal mental preparation. Before I film a class or before I step into a room, I connect with the self, part of myself, and I say, I want everyone in this room to feel better in 30, 60, or 90 minutes than they do when they stepped in. That's number one. Number two, I always know what general tone or intensity I'm gonna bring to the class. I always know what teaching focal points I wanna have in that class. And I always know some sort of technical or philosophical theme that I wanna work with. I don't script out individual poses. I don't script out an individual sequence. But in a simple way of saying this is, I always have learning outcomes. I want you to feel good, and I want you to learn a couple things. If I were to take this webinar and not know what it was, or just wing it or hit a camera and not really kind of lay out my objectives, I'd be really nervous because I would know that I'm phoning it in. I would know that I'm winging it. I've not scripted this webinar, but I've charted out all of my bullet points for this webinar. So this is exactly how I come to a class. Now, another thing that makes me really confident, everybody, and this is a little bit kind of refers to our last point. One of the reasons I'm really confident as a yoga teacher is because not only am I prepared, but I know that I'm gonna do what I do as well as I can do it, and not everybody is gonna like it. I know, and I have the feeling of relaxation that comes only through the experience of knowing it is literally impossible to make everyone happy in everyone's class because everyone has slightly different needs and desires and preferences. So I know that I can only do my best. Everybody, I'm gonna tell is a really quick story. A long time ago, I was teaching in London. This light bulb came on. It was kind of a hot room. Someone went over and opened one of the windows. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. They opened the window, it's kind of hot. Someone else walked over and closed that same window about 20 seconds later. A different person walked up and opened the window again. Another person closed the window, okay? So I told everyone, guess what? I'm gonna open the window for 10 minutes and then I'm going to close it for 10 minutes. Everybody, the reason I'm saying this is in this moment, I had this full, clear, crystal ball realization that all I could do was my best. People have different desires, people have different preferences. So what do I need to do? I need to be a nice person. I need to be prepared, and I need to teach the class that I think is the best possible class I can teach in this moment, and let everyone else have their own individual experience of that class without me taking it personally. I think some things that used to happen to me, everybody, was I didn't know that I did my best on any given class. I didn't know that I did my best. I thought maybe I kind of phoned this one in. I thought maybe I wasn't really clear. I wasn't prepared. Do I think every one of my classes is great? No. Do I know that I am as prepared as I can be and that I've done my best and I know my S in and out? Yes. That helps me surrender, right? I know I'm gonna have an off day because I'm a living person. I know I'm gonna stumble over my words, I'm gonna forget sequences, or some days I'm just not gonna be very clear. Some days I'm not going to execute my skills as a teacher as well as I have on other days. But I know I'm prepared. And I know that I've done my best. And then I can surrender the results. All of these skills, like muscles and fascia and various soft tissues, they're all blended together. I've talked to you as if they're these separate, compartmentalized skills. And in a way they are, but they all flow together. They all flow together. And for them to all flow together, just like you tell your students from time to time, this is just practice. Do your best, surrender the results. But yet you're still giving them a path. You're still giving them a path. It's the same thing as a teacher. You have to practice these things. You have to do your best, and you have to surrender the results, but you still have to have a path. You still have to be able to identify, oh, these are actual skills. These don't just magically appear. They're not the starting point. Being a skilled and confident yoga teacher is not a starting point. It's the results of a process that, just like anything else that you care about, you should do with a meticulous and focused execution. For those of you that resonate with this, whether it's the importance of developing confidence or any of the things that I have spoken to you here, I want you to know you don't have to do this alone. There's so many times as a yoga teacher, this is something that people that graduate from a 200-hour training and start teaching, they don't realize. So many times as a yoga teacher, you feel weirdly isolated. You feel like you're in a vacuum. You feel like you're alone on an island. You don't have to feel that way, especially, strangely enough, in the digital era. I feel more ongoingly connected to a broader community of teachers and trainees now with online learning than I ever have. So now, before we wrap, let me tell you just a couple of bullet point ways in which I think this 300 advanced training of mine may be helpful for you as a yoga teacher. First, when you graduate from this course, you will know anatomy. You will understand sequencing. You will understand modern updated techniques. You will have a much deeper technical, educated well to draw on. And in the long run, we need a deep well as a yoga teacher. You'll be doing this course online, and this course is built to work with your life, not take it over. The vast majority of my students, the vast majority of teachers that I work with are a huge age range, but most of them have a professional life and or a family. Most of the people that I work with have a lot of things that are happening in their lives. And so this course is really designed to work with your life. This training has real guidance and real mentors. I will tell you this, I take it as a matter of pride. I want you to do well as a yoga teacher. I want you to be content and I want you to be solvent. I can't guarantee those things, but I care about them. I take I take it as a personal feeling of responsibility that I need to do everything I can do to endow you with the guidance and the mentorship that's going to help you not just be a good yoga teacher, but a happy one, a content one, a thriving one. Towards those ends, this training also provides a community. The online community has continued to blow my mind. It is my biggest surprise teaching online trainings, which I've done for many years. The relationships that people develop, especially in our live sessions, is amazing. Now, not everybody wants that. There are plenty of people that do this training that are either a little bit more introverted or that are enmeshed enough in their own current lives that they don't need a ton of interaction. But the students that want more engagement with the skillful, like-minded community have it, and they get tight. And also, let me tell you about this training. When you graduate, we have monthly meetings, literally like forever, or as forever as I'm around and there's an internet connection. I don't want to lose the connection, and I don't want you to lose the community. So month over month over month, we have graduate calls. 1 month we practice, the next month we just have open Q&A. Because I don't want you to feel as a yoga teacher isolated. I know that when I graduated from my 1,000-hour training 25 years ago, I know I wanted more support. And I also know that at that time and in that place, there just wasn't more ongoing support, but now there is. It's really easy for us to continue to get together. And the final thing, everybody, obviously, I believe that through my training, you'll come away with these 5 core teaching skills, and you'll be more confident in your own skin. And when you're more confident, drop-in classes, privates, workshops, series, retreats, trainings, then you have more scalability in your profession, and I think ultimately a much more satisfying experience as a yoga instructor.